the camera. Say, what's up, everybody?
Buddy.
Say, what's up, everybody?
Yeah, buddy.
Say, keep pressing.
Nice.
Right, so that's it. I just want to take you guys through the process of how I do my tension. Again, everybody. Hey. I just came from Deco Summit, and I can tell you, if you ever have the opportunity to go to Deco Summit with Racoma, I would highly recommend it. You get to go out there, you get to see the machines that they have, you get to see all of them working, and then if you, depending on what ticket you bought, you can also do hands-on training while you're there also. One of the other things that you get to do is you get to network with a lot of people, other content creators, other people that are using these machines. Ask questions about what they got going on and what they're doing and how they're getting what they get whenever they come to embroidery, and then take some of that stuff that they give you and try it on your own machine. So the biggest question I got asked about was tension. How do I know if it's not too loose, or how do I know if it's not too tight? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my way. There's plenty of ways to do this. You can go out and buy gauges to test your bobbin. Tons of different ways. I'm going to show you. Make sure your machine is set up, make sure everything is right, and whenever you do your tension test, or if you're just running a job, how to know if the tension is right. Last thing you want to do is not have the tension right and the image come out really bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the MT1501. We're not going to use the 6 head because I don't feel like loading 6 to do a tension test. We're going to do one on the MT1501. We're going to go ahead and start on the tension test, which comes with the machines whenever you get it. Racoma sends you a thumb drive, and on that thumb drive it has the tension test, and this is what it looks like. So here we are in the display, and as you can see, I have my tension test pulled up. We are going to stitch this out just the way it's supposed to be. I'm not using the circle hoops, so I have to change my image to sideways so that it fits on the hoop that I'm going to be using. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to stitch this out, and then when we're done, we're going to flip it over and we're going to look at the back of this. But before you can even stitch this out, you want to make sure that your machine is set up right. And let me show you what I'm talking about when I say make sure that it's set up right. So here we are at the back of the machine, and I just want to show you guys, whenever you get any of the embroidery machines from Racoma, the thread is going to come with these little things on the bottom, these right here. And I've taken them off all of my machines because I don't like to use them. I use a lot of these little ones because I do a lot of different jobs for a lot of different people. It doesn't make sense for me to buy 6 of the big ones when I could buy 6 of the little ones, and I'm doing their job maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I can use this plenty of times for that. All right, so here's why I took these off. If you look at the big ones, they sit flat. These right here will sit on top. So as you're embroidering, you're going to see the thread will go around, and what's going to happen is it will sometimes, not all the time, go underneath here, and as it's embroidering, it's going to get stuck. And whenever it gets stuck, what it's going to do is it's going to break the thread. If it's doing this and it's slowly hitting it, and it could take the tension out just that very little, just that little piece right there will mess up your tension. So what I do, if you want to take them out, you just grab something, some flat tip screwdriver or something, just put it under there, separate it a little bit, and once you separate it, just pull it straight up and it's gone. You can either keep them, put them in a bin, save them, whatever you want to do. I don't know if it's just something to hold these on there, I'm not sure, but I take them off. That's what it looks like. Again, get rid of it if you don't want to use it. Another thing, I'm not too sure if you're familiar with this, if you're just starting off, whenever you get thread, this is what it looks like. On the bottom of this, there's a lip down here. See that lip? So with that lip, what it's there for is, so after you finish with your thread, you can then go ahead, put it underneath it, close it so that the thread's not just dangling everywhere. So if you were, again, to leave one of these up and you stick it on there, you see how it has that gap. As it's embroidering, if it goes under there and it catches that little nub right there, hopefully you can see that. If it catches that little nub, you could run into the same issue. So make sure all of them are closed, whether you're using the big ones or the little ones. So here's a big one, same thing on the bottom. Make sure that's clamped in also. Next thing you want to do, we're not going to do it, is you want to make sure your thread is ran correctly. So if you look up here, you're going to see that there's holes up here. You want to make sure that your thread is run through the right hole. So what I'm saying is, whenever you get ready to do this, you have 15 needles, or if you're running the 20 needle, you're going to start with this row. It's going to have 5. That's going to be the back row. The center one is going to be the middle row, and the front one is going to be the first row. So you're going to go from 5, 10 to 15 holes where the thread has to run through. And whenever you're running it, you have to make sure that you're running it through the right one. So here we are with the top tension knob. You run your thread up. Once you run it through here, you're going to run it to this knob right here. If you look very closely, right here in the back, there is a hole. You're going to run your thread through that hole, and then you have to run it underneath these 2 plates. If you can see that there's 2 plates right there, your thread has to go in between there. Not only does it have to go in between there, but it has to go on the other side of that nub right there. So I pulled mine out to show you guys. If you can do it, you're going to simply grab it like if you're flossing your teeth, and you're going to bring it up and you're going to get it inside of there, behind it. So if your tension knob is too far down, you're going to have trouble getting it in there. So what you can do, and this is where a lot of people get scared because they say, now I've messed up my tension, is you're going to loosen this up a little bit. Just loosen it up. Grab your thread again, lift up on that plate, slide it in between, and make sure, like I said, it's on the other side of that nub, and then go ahead and tighten it back down. And then you could just simply pull your thread back through. So now we're in the front of the machine. You're going to run your thread down from this part right here. You're going to run it down through this slinky. It's not a tube. If you can see, it separates. So if you're trying to put thread in there, it's going to be very difficult. Your machine will come with one of these threaders right here, or whatever it's called. If you lose it, don't worry. Use a needle. Once you have it through the slinky or the tube, what you're going to do is there's this little flap right here. Right, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put your thread behind that. Then you have to come to this next tension knob. Same thing as the top tension knob. You have to put it between the 2 plates. Well, this one has a plate that's fixed, and then this one that right here that is loose. So you have to get it between there. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to put it in here. But there's also a little nub inside here that the thread has to go behind. So you have to make sure it's behind that, because if you don't, while you're embroidering, what's going to happen is the thread is going to be moving in and out. And if it's moving in and out like that, it's going to mess up your tension. So make sure that you're behind the nub, and I'm going to show you what the nub looks like. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and, again, loosen your tension if you can't get it. So we're going to take our thread, again, we're going to floss that piece, pick up on this plate, and when I pick up on the plate, you're going to bring this bottom one over, and then you're going to lay it down. And now you can see when I try to bring the thread out, it's stuck on something. So what I'm going to show you, I don't recommend you do this if you don't know your tension. And I don't want to I'm not telling you to do this because this thing is spring loaded, but I'm going to show you what that nub in there looks like. So you can take this tension knob. If you loosen it too much, what's going to happen, it's spring loaded, but it's not going to pop off. So don't think that it's going to pop off. This will come off right here. And then you can simply take this off. And then if you look right here, when I take this off, right there, there is that little nub that we have to go behind. So make sure you are behind that nub so that whenever you embroider, it's not going to mess up. So then you're simply going to take your spring, your top piece, put it back into place, take your tension knob, tighten it right back up. If you have to, get in there and do that yourself. Again, I don't recommend you do that unless you know your machine and how it works. So now that we have it behind this in our tension knob and behind that little nub that's behind there that I just showed you. So the next thing we have to do is we have to run it around this wheel, and I'm going to try to do this without my fingers getting in the way. So it's going to go around that nub, around the wheel, and as you bring it down, you're not going to do this. You're going to bring it around the wheel one more time like that. So now it goes down around it, and then catch that side of the nub behind this, and then straight down. Alright, so now that we got it there, we're going to bring it down. From here, it's going to go on the outside, then it's going to come on the inside, come back up, go through this loop, come down. It's got to go through that hole right there, and then from that hole straight down to your needle. So once all of that is done, you're good to go. So we're ready to do our tension test, but again, remember, the most important part, do your trace. Make sure you don't hit your hoop and mess up a presser foot or mess up your hoop. So we're good to go. Remember, the tension test is about getting the proper tension, right? Checking to see if it's right. And I'm going to show you some things that I look at whenever I start. So we're not going to do it with the white. The first thing that it's going to do is the white. So it's going to be hard to see because it's laying down white on the white backing. So we're going to go ahead, let this one go. And when this one's done, we'll look. So our first one is done. Like I said, it's white on white. What I did for the second one is I loosened up my tension a lot. And I'm going to show you what I'm looking to look for whenever it starts to do this embroidery. So we're going to go ahead and hit start. Alright, so you probably can't see it on the camera, but I can tell this stitch is very, very loose. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you back, and I'm going to pull this out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the bottom of this. And if you go look at this, see how thin that white line is. That's how you know your tension is not right. But this is a jump stitch, and that's what I don't like about this tension test, is it's a jump stitch, not a stitch that's continuously going. But I'm going to show you the next one. We're going to run it right, and we're going to see how that one looks. So let's do that one. All right, so our tension test is complete. And as you can see, a lot of these look good. These look good. This looks good. These look good. If you look at this one, you'll see a little. What happened here was the thread was caught up on top. So I fixed that. This one right here, tension is too tight. So we can loosen it up. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you guys this when you're starting off. This could take time to do all of these right here. It's 7,354 stitches, which isn't a lot. But if you're doing a tension test and you look at this, you're like, yeah, it looks good. But then you get back here and you look at it, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to say, why are they all different? And then you're going to, okay, number 2 needs to be tightened up, and then you're going to go in there and you're going to tighten it, and then you're going to run this whole test all over again. So I'm going to show you how to check your tension without having to do all of this. So let's go ahead. We're going to bring up an image and we're going to stitch that out. All right, so before we get into stitching out this image, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about this top tension bar and this tension bar. I know I showed you how to load them. I didn't tell you what the purpose of this one was and the purpose of this one was. So as you are embroidering, and if you need to do a major adjustment because the thread is feeding way too fast, you're going to tighten this one up here. This one's going to control how fast your thread is coming through. If your thread is coming through way too fast, what's going to happen is you're going to get a bird's nest. And when you get a bird's nest, you're going to get really upset and you're not going to know why that happened. So this top one up here controls your speed of the thread as it's coming through real fast. So major adjustments here, and then once you get this tuned in, you get this tuned in, these are your minor adjustments. That's where you're going to come in here and you're going to look at your thread the way it's laying down, and you want to go ahead and say, okay, I need to tighten it a little bit, I need to loosen it a little bit, and if it's just right, then it's just right. Don't mess with it. One thing I see a lot of people do is whenever they're doing something, they have all their tension ready to go, they switch out a thread. Say they go from a standard poly neon thread and now they're switching over to a metallic thread, which the tension has to be really loose to feed that thread. What I see people do is they want to come to this tension bar right here and just loosen it. I just want you to know that whenever you loosen this bar right here, whether you loosen it or you tighten it, you are now doing that for every single one of your needles. This bar right here will loosen and tighten every single needle at the same time. So then if it switches to another color, your tension might be off. So for me, we leave ours at a certain spot and we don't mess with it. We mess with our tension knobs because then we know that we are adjusting that single needle, not the whole machine, right? So keep that in mind whenever it comes to adjusting this bracket or this tension bar right here, right? So keep that in mind. All right, so here's the image that we're going to be embroidering, and when it first starts off, we're going to be using gold for the inside, and then we're going to be doing the trim in black. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the tension on wherever it's going to start at, and we're going to make it really, really loose so I can show you how it looks like when the tension is not right. So let's go ahead, adjust that, and get into this. So we're going to be using number 7 and number 9. So I'm not going to mess with number 9. We're going to do our demonstration on number 7, which is going to be a majority of the embroidery that we're doing. So I'm going to adjust number 7. I'm going to bring it out quite a bit so that it's feeding the thread pretty fast. But if I have to adjust it during the embroidery process, I will, because I don't want it to bird nest. If it bird nests, then we're going to run into a bunch of other problems that I'm not demonstrating in this video. We're only going to demonstrate how to make sure your tension is right. So what I'm going to do is loosen this up, and then down here on number 7, I'm also going to loosen that one up. I tell people, think of a spool of string on a stick. If I grab the tip of that and I yank it, what's going to happen after my hand or my arm stops moving is the thread is going to, the string is going to keep spinning, and it's just going to fall on the floor. Same concept here. If you have this too loose as the needle is embroidering, what's happening every time it embroiders is it's tugging on that thread. And as it's tugging on that thread, it's feeding it into the bobbin. And if it feeds too much into the bobbin, it's going to cause you a bird nest. And if you don't know what a bird's nest is, avoid it, right? I've done them. I think a lot of us who have been doing embroidery have experienced a bird nest, and it's not fun. So as it started that underlay, I'm going to pull this out real quick, trim it, pull this out. So if we look at our thread, you can see how loose all of this thread is, right? Look how loose. See how loose that is? See the hoops that are in there? You want to make sure that all of this, whenever you start to embroider, is sitting nice and flat. See how these are all lifted? That is what you don't want. So let's go ahead and put this back in here and finish this top piece. Alright, so as I pull this out, we can look at this. Look at this again. You can see the rise of the thread here. It's not nice and flat. You can see that you can move it around. This is what I'm looking for, but before it even gets to this point here, look at the underlay. If the underlay is looking bad, then you want to switch it. So we're going to go to the next piece. We're going to do it in black this time. It's going to be the inside again, but we're going to do it in black. Just because this is sitting on the same color, I should have did it with a different one. So we're going to do the black one right now and see how it comes out. Alright, this is a good example. So, alright, so here it is. As you can see, it's not nice and tight. This is very loose. See how loose this is? So let's finish this black part off. Then I'm going to tighten the tension and we'll see the next part. Here is a perfect example of what we are looking at. So if you look at this tension is off. You can see how fluffy this is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fix it. We're going to make it right and finish doing this. So we're going to go ahead and tighten our top adjustment knobs and our bottom adjustment knobs. And as it's embroidering, I'm putting this back to where I had it before. And we are going to continue. So it's ready to go. We're going to start this, and as it starts, we're going to look at the underlay and see how it looks. So one thing I want to show you is, if you look at this, you can see this stitch is nice and flat and ready to go. But what I want to show you now is down here. We haven't talked about the bobbin yet. That's one thing that we haven't talked about, is the bobbin. I'm going to take the bobbin out of the bobbin case, or out of this, whatever that is, and I'm going to hold it, right? So I can, people say if you hold it like this, you can tell if it's right. You should be able to bounce it up and down like a yo-yo or whatever, right? Me personally, I like to grab it and pull it, and I can feel, I've just learned over time what my tension should feel like. What I'm going to do, and I don't suggest it for you guys, loosen the screw on the bobbin, and I'm going to show you when the tension on the bobbin is too loose, what will happen. If you look at this, you're gonna see that there is white coming out from the thread, and that's the bobbin pushing out from the back. So make sure your tension, if you see this, tighten the screw on the bobbin. You're gonna come down here to the bottom of this, and as you can see, there's a screw right there. So all you're gonna do is tighten this up. I know my feel. Learn your feel on how the bobbin is supposed to feel, or get you a gauge if you have to. Give it a little tug, feel how it feels, and if it feels good to you, good to go. There should be some resistance there, not much, but you shouldn't be able to hold it and it free fall to the ground. So if you are seeing the white, just turn this clockwise until you don't see the white. So we're going to try it right there, and then we're going to hit start. Here's where we tighten the tension on the bobbin, and here's where it was loose. See the difference? All right, so let's go ahead and finish this, and we'll be right back. Here's the image that we went ahead and we stitched out, and as you can see right here, I switched from this brown because of the sand right here. You weren't able to see what I wanted to show you. So right here, we can see with this that the stitches are lifted. We even lost registration as it came way out here when it was embroidering. And if you get something like this and you see that your threads are lifted, go ahead and do your bottom tension knobs, which are going to fine tune it. And as it's embroidering, look at what it's doing. You're going to see right here where it's lifted. As you start to turn that bottom tension knob and fine tune it, you're going to see that this stitch is going to go nice and flat. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to go up to the top and adjust your major tension knob because it's feeding too fast. And as we flip it to the back, you can see the difference between this and this right here. This is where we had bad tension going on and it wasn't working for us right. So then again, I went ahead and I showed you right here, we loosened up the bobbin, and as you can see that there's white coming through this. If you have white coming through it, tighten up the screw on the bobbin. That's the only issue that you're having right there. Tighten up the screw. If you're using white thread with white bobbin, you're not going to see it. If you're doing something black and then you switch it to black bobbin, then you're not going to see it. But any other colors, you're going to see the bobbin coming through. So make sure if you're seeing this, that you go ahead and you tighten up that tension. And then last, if you look at this right here, you can see that this piece, and all the way down, that looks really good. We went ahead and we fine-tuned it, and we got it embroidering the right way so that I can show you how it's supposed to look whenever you're doing that. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing embroidery. Those tension knobs are going to be key. Try to stay away from that bar, because like I told you, if you adjust that bar, you're adjusting all the tension across the board. Try to just do that individual one by tweaking those knobs. Alright, so that's it. I just want to take you guys through my process of how I check my tension. There's a ton of ways you could do it, right? There's not a right way, there's not a wrong way. This is just my way. And when I was at Deco Summit, like I was telling you guys, a lot of people were asking me how I did mine. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a video on it, and I'm going to share it to all of you guys so you guys know how I do it. So if you guys have any questions, leave some comments down below. Or if you got any tips or tricks that you like to share, leave some comments down below. And it's all about helping people out. If you guys are interested in taking your shop or your home business to its next level, make sure you guys go down below. There's a link for Ricoma. By you clicking that link, it is a referral code. I just want to let you know that. But by you clicking that link, it's going to save you up to $250. You don't have to start with a big machine like this. You can start with the MT1501, which is the machine that we used in this video, or any of the other machines that Ricoma carries. Go down below, click that link, and save you some money. Alright, so that's it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for all the support. And until next time, keep pressing.